And John. So welcome everybody to our multi-platform service of the Unitarian Church of Staten Island. We're so glad that you can join us, whether you're joining us in person or online. If you're with us in person, you're invited to join us in the parish hall for hospitality after the service. And if you're joining us online, please stick around for a virtual coffee hour where you can catch up with the folks online. And sometimes folks, I've never heard us announce this, but that's kind of a thing that many of us know about, that if you want to peek into the virtual folks, you can say hello and join them in their conversation. Anyone that's live, you can feel free to do that. So also those joining online, you can introduce yourself in the chat box if you're with us for the first time. And now this is a special announcement. Come celebrate our 172nd year. The Unitarian Church of Staten Island anniversary dinner is Saturday, October 26th at 6 p.m. See Sue Flynn. She's sitting in the back at the big table with a gift basket for more details on that and to sign up if you'd like. She's going to ask you your meal choice. There's vegan meatballs, there's chicken, there's salmon, so something for everybody. Now, weekly gatherings include our women's group via Zoom, held every Tuesday from 7:30 to 9 p.m. See Kathy Kathy and Tom are away, so talk to me if you're interested in either the men's gathering, which is Zoom every other Monday evening, or the women's gathering Tuesday, 7:30 to 9, and I'll see that you can talk to the right person. Please support our social media outreach. Please like and share our weekly posts on Facebook and Instagram. And remember, all our services are on YouTube. And now we have another special announcement. I invite Chris and Sally to come up with me because Chris, Sally, Sue, Tom, and I have been on the search team for 1,000 years. And I don't know, Chris, I think you prepared to make this announcement, right? Or I don't know.
Okay. So speaking for all of us, Tom is our kind of coordinator chair. And so it's unfortunate. Well, I'm sure he and Kathy are having a fabulous time visiting family, but they could be with us today. So we have been the search committee from the time that Reverend Emily left us, but who's counting? And we brought you Ember Kelly for a year, which was a wonderful experience for us all. And then we didn't know if we were going to be continuing with a half-time or a quarter-time. So search committee continued in our endeavors. So we have been nonstop really since Reverend Emily left us. And we had a wonderful year with Ember. There's no two ways about it. So we were very pleased to find out that we had a response to our search through the UA website from Reverend Daniel Lawler. From those of you who were with us the previous Sunday, sneak peek, he was our candidate, but we figured we would just allow him to have some time to be our preacher on that particular day. And during that time, we made a recommendation to the Board of Trustees to bring him on as our quarter-time minister. Board of Trustees unanimously said yes. The search committee was unanimous about him as well. And then we talked to him and hippie, hippie, hooray. He agreed and we agreed. So he is going to be joining us. He technically was effective from that day. He'll be with us just like Ember was, one Sunday a month, and then additional works with meeting with our different committees, coming here as often on a regular basis, having office hours. So more about that to come. So Reverend Daniel, you'll see that there's an announcement. I think it's already up on our website. And it'll be going out on all our social media and our e-blasts and all that kind of stuff. But for those of you who were here and heard him preach when on the 29th, any of the direct asks, gee, what do you think? I thought that was real positives. So the takeaway from the congregation, even though they didn't really know why they were telling us whether they liked him or not, helped us a lot and really cemented our belief that he's a great choice for us. He resides in Manhattan with his wife, Yumi, and their little 4 or 5 month old baby boy, JJ. He ministers up at Croton-on-Hudson in a part-time capacity there. So he's very happy. This really rounds out his congregational ministry in a beautiful way. So he seems to be happier about wanting to be here, if that's possible, than we are about him coming. But it seems to be a win-win for us all the way round. That pretty much. Hooray for us, hooray for us. And I'm going to indulge myself for 1 second. Forgive me 1 minute. Even though he's going to be with us on a monthly basis, his Octobers were booked and he couldn't make a change. So he'll be with us 2 times in November. And he made a recommendation to us, to the Worship Guild Committee, for a member in his cohort, Reverend Mark Catola. And we reached out to him. We offered him the spot to be with us on next Sunday. And he's going to be speaking. You may have noticed in the order of service and whatever, you can't judge a book by its cover. And that's the focus of that, is all about banned books. So we thought that this was an opportune time. I'll pass these out in hospitality. Next Sunday, if you have any of the books, the banned books, the commonly banned books, the libraries across the country, unfortunately, in your stack, and maybe you would like to bring them in, share them, put them in the little free library if you like, but bring them in. So I'll distribute this later. You may not know that you are in possession of a banned book. And unfortunately, too many locations around our country, but there's lots of laws and happening in different states that are putting down the banned book laws. So we're seeing some positive changes across the nation, but this is another opportunity for us to speak up about that for our congregation. Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Cheers.
And speaking of the fact that Daniel isn't going to be with us until November 10th, there will also be a new member ceremony on that day, and more to come on that. So at this time, for those joining us in person, we gently remind you to silence your mobile devices at this time. And now let us prepare for this morning's service. The opening words come from the Gospel of Luke. You are worried and upset about many things. Only one thing is important. Mary has chosen the better part, and it will not be taken away from her. And now I invite you to join me in lighting our chalice. You can find the affirmation in our order of service. We light this chalice in the search for truth and the spirit of love. We unite in worship and fellowship. You see me, I tried this like 6 times before and it was working every time. I really did. People saw me. I was like, I want to make sure this is right. Maybe I tried it too much and I. Lots of fire makers. Now, as an extension of lighting our chalice, I want to take a moment of silence to light these candles for some of the names of those who have recently been affected by police brutality. We can't cover all the names of those affected this morning, but this morning we would like to light a candle for the life of Sydney Wilson, for the life of Gabriel Renteria, and for the life of Joshua Dean Green. May these lights be a symbol of our commitment to continue the work of racial justice and to proclaim that Black Lives Matter. Now for our opening hymn. The choir can come up and please join us in singing hymn number 38, Morning is Broken, in your gray hymnal. Now is the time in our service for joys and sorrows. If you're visiting us for the first time, you can take this time to introduce yourselves if you'd like. For those who are gathering in person, we invite you to raise your hand and then stand when you're seated. Stand where you're seated. I will give you the microphone to share your joy or sorrow. We invite you to share what's in your heart. Those joining us online, we invite you to type into your chat your joys and sorrows. Sally will lead them aloud. We also invite you to share what's in your heart. And I saw Ryan's hand go up right away. So Ryan has something to share for us.
Good morning. My name is Ryan. Next month on the 4th, it's November 4th is my birthday. It's on a Monday this year. So yeah, be 36.
Thanks, Ryan. Happy birthday. I don't see anyone's hand, so I'll get one in. If you appreciated what Eric and John played today, they're actually going to be playing it again at the Richmond County Orchestra, this time with accompaniment, at 3 p.m. at the CSI Springer Auditorium. Did I have that right? CSI, one of the auditoriums at CSI. It's online. If anyone's interested, and not just them, but there'll be the whole Richmond County Orchestra will be playing for most of the concert, but Eric and John will be in there as well. If anyone's interested in checking it out. It's a joy, obviously, for us. So anybody else, joy or sorrow? Oh, usually there's like at least 3 hands at this point. Okay. Anybody? Ruth?
Hi, I'm Ruth. So I wasn't going to share, but I was not here last weekend because I went to my former husband's beautiful memorial service in Newport, Rhode Island. There were about 220 people there, and it was just amazing to see this outpouring of love and respect and honor for his great talent, and a joy to be there with family, cousins we haven't seen in ages, and the kids, all the kids getting together, the grandchildren. It was just lovely. The whole weekend, we all spent, we spent the weekend, the whole family all together, and it was a joy.
Thank you.
My name is Sally Jones, and I had a lot of, I guess, joys and sorrows, but I'd been working on a fundraiser for Peace Action Fund of New York State for the last months and months and months, and we had it last Monday, and we honored Leslie Kagan, who was, many of you may know, she was the national coordinator of United for Peace and Justice. And she also was the organizer for the 1982 million-person march against nuclear weapons in Central Park, June 12, 1982. And she's also been one of the Jewish elders in Jewish Voice for Peace, who have been doing a lot of work around Palestine. She's just an amazing person around LGBT issues, around climate and everything. So, and that was a joy. And also we honored Dr. Rashid Khalidi. He's a professor at Columbia University who wrote 100 Years War on Palestine, which is one of the books that many people have read, and I really recommend it. He's a very generous person in academia, and the students that we work with across campuses. So it turned out so great. It was better than we could have imagined. So it was wonderful. That was a joy.
Thank you, Sally. Rose.
Thanks, Dave. Dave and I are chairs of the membership committee. We want to let you know we're going to have 2 organized walks. That's October 20th and 27th. The 20th, we'll be leaving right from here at about 1 p.m. We'll get more details on the 27th, which I believe, Dave, help me out, is at Clove Lakes Park, which will get you more detail in the bulletin. But just have those dates in mind for a nice walk through Snug Harbor is the one on the 20th. So we'll go right from here and we'll walk over and have fall foliage if we can. So keep that in mind. And then the 27th. Thanks.
Suppose the 20th, a way to extend Reverend Daniel Berger's 50th anniversary celebration. That's why we chose 1 and not 12:30, so we can all enjoy celebrating Reverend Berger and then continue the festivities in the beautiful fall foliage. Anybody else? I see. Oh, Mary has one. I was going to say, when I saw Mary, I'm reminded not only are my kids playing, but Mary's husband's playing at Snug Harbor. If anyone wants to check out James and his band at 2.
Yes, my joy is that my husband is doing very well, and eyesight greatly improved, actually driving again. And he is going to be playing this afternoon at 2:00 at Snug Harbor, as Dave said, with his band Peace Train. So anybody who would like to come out, I'll be there. Come and join me.
Should have figured that was your joy. I stole it from you. I'm sorry. Double joy. Yes.
Hi, everybody. My name is Viv, and I'll be visiting Larry in the hospital today. He's at Staten Island University, and I'm going to share your greetings with him. So on the count of 3, if we could all say, hi, Larry. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Hi, Larry. So I'll tell him that I did that. And a friend of mine sent these for him and I to wear in the hospital today. So.
Thanks. Anybody else? I just feel like I should say my family and I, we saw Godfrey on the ferry yesterday because we were coming from the Rubin Museum. Today is your last day to see it. It is closing. We were there on the second last day. I don't know if people know about the Rubin Museum in the city. They beautiful collection of mostly Tibetan Buddhist art and artifacts and some modern pieces. They're closing up for good. Today at 5 p.m. will be your last chance to see it. So I guess that's a bit of a sorrow. Anyone else, the closing part? Anybody else or Sally on the chat? Anybody in there? No, okay. Oh. All right.
Bonnie says, good morning. Joy, we'll be visiting New Jersey today for a flower festival. Want to share upcoming talk and midwalks, and I think that you did, Rose. Yeah, so hopefully that's good. Everybody's good about October 20th and 27th.
Thank you. Yeah, Bonnie was the one I think that suggested the walks. We're like, bring back the walks. It's something she organized them. It's something we've done here for many years, and we're gonna keep doing it. And bring friends. Thank you for sharing your joys and sorrows with us and for those held silently in your hearts. We'll now pause for meditation. I will offer a prompt to focus our meditation and then sound the singing bowl. At that point, I invite you to begin the meditation with 3 deep breaths. After a few minutes, I will sound the singing bowl again to mark the end of our time. Today's prompt by Joan Chittister is as follows. Meditation is the stage between words and silence in the spiritual life. The prayer of words instructs us in the tradition of belief we hold. It teaches us the ideas of the ancients and the prayer forms of the community. That wasn't the bell. Silence takes us beyond words to total consciousness of the presence that is more than time and greater than life. Meditation fills us with the details of the search. Now our speaker, Regina Cassidy, will be doing the reading for us this morning from the Brothers Karamazov by how do you pronounce his first name? I know it's Dostoevsky. Fyodor Dostoevsky. Fyodor, thank you. Regina, would you want to? Yeah. Good.
Filled with rapture, his soul yearned for freedom, space, vastness. Over him, the heavenly dome, full of quiet, shining stars, hung boundlessly from the zenith to the horizon. The still dim Milky Way stretched its double strand. Night, fresh and quiet, almost unstirring, enveloped the earth. The white towers and the golden domes of the church gleamed in the sapphire sky. The luxurious autumn flowers in the flower beds near the house had fallen asleep until morning. The silence of the earth seemed to merge with the silence of the heavens. The mystery of the earth touched the mystery of the stars. Aloysius stood gazing, and suddenly, as if he had been cut down, threw himself to the earth. He did not know why he was embracing it. He did not try to understand why he longed so irresistibly to kiss it, to kiss all of it. But he was kissing it. He was weeping, sobbing, and watering the earth with his tears, and he vowed ecstatically to love it unto all the ages. Water the earth with tears of joy, and love those tears rang in his soul. What was he weeping for? Oh, in his rapture, he wept even for the stars that shone on him from the abyss. And he was not ashamed of this ecstasy. It was as if threads from all of those innumerable worlds of God had come together in his soul, and it was trembling all over, touching other worlds.
Thank you, Regina. Now is a time in our service where we take an offering. We know it is the gifts of all of us that help support our ability to thrive and to gather. For those attending in person, we'll pass the collection plate. Please use the envelope you'll find in the pew. I don't know if it's in every spot, but there are some around. If you need one, you can raise your hand. Somebody can find one for you. Write your name and indicate if your offering is part of your pledge or is a donation. And for those online, links and instructions will be posted in the chat. You can mail us a check or donate through the PayPal giving page on our website. Please give as generously as you can, as you're able. Our offerings will be gratefully received.
When I looked at the description for the service this week, I saw that Regina had asked us to think of things that we thought were awesome, that made awe in us. And when the word music was in there, I thought, oh, there's got to be something. And I thought about Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, which this is its 200th anniversary. It was premiered in 1824. And Beethoven was totally deaf when he wrote it, which it kind of, after you listen to it, you feel like maybe you had to be deaf to hear the stuff that, like shut out the world and hear the stuff that only you could hear, because the whole thing is amazing. And the other thing that was brand new about it is no symphony had ever had words before. He added a choir and soloists and words to the last movement of the symphony. And that's the part that's the most awesome to me of everything, is the tune for the words is just 5 notes. Like kids play it within the first few weeks of taking music lessons. I have xylophones for you in coffee hour. You could play it. So people might have gotten my little charts to show them how to play it. It's very easy. It's 3, 3, 4, 5. You don't even have to move your hand. Now here's the contrasting little part. That little tune has been all over the world. There's a wonderful documentary on YouTube. I think it's called Chasing Beethoven's Ninth. It shows people all over the world playing it. It was played at the when the Berlin Wall fell. They played it there. They played it in China, Japan, everywhere, Africa. They even in the documentary they show a bunch of deaf people playing it. It's really cool. And the words are all about harmony and bringing people together and joy. So the words are pretty dated. We're going to sing. It's not 347 as it says in your hymnal. It's 327. Joy, thou goddess. The words are kind of dated, but basically they're saying, you know, live in harmony and joy. You can do it. Come on. If you sing the first two verses twice, I'll let you off of the German. So
And-
we're going to do verse 1, verse 2, verse 1, verse 2.
And as you turn, there's actually, so I've never seen this before, and when we've been here. So if you're new, we don't do this all the time. But the situation definitely requires it of us. I think the UUA is recommending a second collection for this morning, and they write the scale of destruction in the wake of Hurricane Helene has been utterly devastating to many communities in the southeastern United States. Some Unitarian Universalist congregations have been seriously impacted, and others are still trying to assess the damage. Maybe many of you heard of the 2 feet of rain dumped on South and North Carolina, and it's just really awful for the people there. You can help support Unitarian Universalists and their communities as they recover from the storm by giving generously to the UUA's Disaster Relief Fund. They say Sunday plate collections. It's funny, this is all, that was bold, and this, I don't know if I should read this or not, but maybe I'll summarize it. Sunday plate collection is an important way to support this fund. They're encouraging all congregations that are able to consider taking up such a collection, and we're responding to them by doing so. All gifts granted in the course of immediate crisis response will be extended directly to the impacted communities, while an immediate collection is ideally given at the immediacy of the need. Well, they're telling us to please consider a gift at any point, but we're taking that this morning for those who are able. So maybe while I don't know, how should we do this? We've never done 2 before. Should we pass the plates again or wait till we're singing the hymn? What do you want, Kevin? You're the choir leader. We'll pass them while we're singing. So if anybody, again, we don't do this often, but if anyone's able to help for those communities in need, please do so. Thank you.
So verses 1 and 2, and then repeat 1 and 2. Number 3, 7. 3, 2, 7. 327.
I read that I read that it took Beethoven 200 tries before he got the tune he really wanted. But it paid off.
Thank you. I'm kind of glad we didn't have to sing the German. Before I introduce Regina, I just thought this was for those with a Jewish background, I thought it was awesome that Regina chose the topic awe without realizing we're in the middle of the 10 days of awe between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur being the holiest day of the year in the Hebrew calendar, and just this season of for Judaism, recognizing the awe of the divine, the awe of God, the awe of Hashem. So that's pretty cool that you chose that topic without knowing this. And Regina Cassidy, she's joined us quite a few times. Maybe you already know her, but I'll introduce her again, as I love to do. She's an interfaith lay minister on Staten Island. She holds a doctorate of ministry from New York Theological Seminary. She's also the wife of Tom Cassidy for 44 years this week, she tells me. Mother of 3 and pretty recent grandmother of her 5th now. So now grandmother of 5. So yeah, once again, we're so glad to have you, Regina.
Thank you. And it's great to be here today. As he just said, a lot has happened for our family since the last time we were here, including our 5th little baby in 5 years. It's quite a shock to all of us that we had 5 babies in 5 years. The oldest is 5 years old, born right before the pandemic. And now his little brother, Zachary, was just born in June. And I'm sure for you as well, a lot has happened since the last time I've been here. And so how did I arrive at the topic of awe for today? Well, Dave just explained, it was a total coincidence. Although I have Jewish friends and so on, I've never heard it mentioned before that Rosh Hashanah leads up a season of awe and concluding at Yom Kippur. So I tried to look it up and I couldn't quite figure it all out, but you explained it to me a bit here today. I'm sorry, I forget your name. Sarah, she explained it to me a bit today, and it is awesome, as Dave said, that should have happened. And I'd like to begin by saying a few thoughts about my previous times with you. As some of you may remember, I addressed the war in Ukraine one of the first times I was here. And I remember that someone that day enlightened me by talking about the forgotten war, civil war in Sudan. And that's still going on. I spoke about Martin Luther King on his day and the thought of how to handle such violence, and in the light of his philosophy of nonviolence. And now I'm back and we have the terrible troubles in the Mideast, which seem almost impossible to solve. On a different note, for those of you who may also remember, I shared with you my personal lifelong struggles with OCD when I spoke about mindfulness. Mindfulness, again, a coincidence, just at the time when I found out when I got here that your community was working on mindfulness. I was very shocked. Well, to make a long story short, with help, guidance, and medicine, I've begun to get a better grip on my OCD. But I've also been getting greater insight into myself in general as related to it, and the reverberations OCD has had on my life in general. And so I'm getting a better grip on many things. Why do I feel I can talk about such things here at Unitarian? Because I feel that I can. I feel that I can question and discuss politics in places that I might not be able to elsewhere. And I feel welcome to share my personal struggles because I felt your openness to doing the same. So that's my background story. So when Dave asked me to come here, my mind swirled with dual responsibility and opportunity. I have been troubled by so many things in the world, as I imagine you have. I named a few. And all of those thoughts led me to the words from the gospel, the opening words from today, from Luke. If you're not familiar with those words, they're taken from the story about two sisters, Martha and Mary, who are friends of Jesus. Martha is the doer, running around the house and getting the dinner ready, concerned about how the table looks, if the meal's hot enough, the seating arrangements, if things are clean enough, until she has herself in a state. Meanwhile, her sister Mary is sitting in the living room, listening and talking to Jesus. Well, to make a long story short, Martha grows resentful and expresses this. But rather than taking sides, Jesus said, calm down, sit and talk. Everything will be fine with dinner. I came to visit with you. Well, growing up, I never really liked this story too much, and neither did my mother, because we felt we're the ones that got the work done. How come she gets to sit around inside? I am for sure Martha the worrier, and many things bother me if I allow them to. I get into, as my kids would say growing up, Mom gets into a panic state whenever company is coming over. Well, I said if I allow them to. Well, remember, I just reminded you about things that concern me. War, homelessness, and hunger is another two big ones, to the point that I get overwhelmed easily, and then I end up doing nothing. I also said that I suffer from OCD, but you may ask, how did I say I was able to recover most of the time? Well, through a lot of work, and I won't go into all of it right now, I was advised to name the worries as intrusive thoughts, to tell myself that I don't have to dwell on them, but acknowledge that I still will feel uncomfortable. Now, I've thrown these at you rather quickly, but if anybody would like to know more about those three aspects, I'll elaborate with you after the service. But for now, with this very long introduction, I wanted to bring you to the point I am right now, from worry to awe. Opposites for me in a sense. Now, before I go on, I need to take a deep breath. And if you'd like to take a deep breath with me, I appreciate that. That's a good one. Let's look at our main reading for today. It was totally accidental also that I came upon these words from the brothers Karamazov. I never read the entire book, and it sounds like many of you have. But it was recommended to me many times that I should read it by a friend, and I just couldn't get into it. But I read an excerpt recently, an excerpt before I spoke to Dave or anything about today. But it was an excerpt that described Aloysia, and again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but whose experience is described in this excerpt And he is the youngest son in the novel, the idealist, the innocent one, the good one. But he has a very troubled soul and is searching constantly, seeking truth. And what I came across here in this excerpt stopped me in my tracks. What was he talking about? What was happening to him? Just to pull out a few sentences that got to me. His soul yearned for freedom, space, vastness, the heavenly dome, the flower beds. The house had fallen asleep into the morning. The silence of the earth touched the mystery of the stars. He stood gazing, and finally he just had to fall down and weep. He couldn't really say it, but he had to just express it that way. He couldn't understand what was going on, but that's what he had to do. He was kissing the earth, watering it with his tears, and he ecstatically vowed to love it forever. In his rapture, he wept for everything that he saw, not in sadness, but in awe, in ecstasy. And when he realized, and then when I realized he was talking about awe, I realized that I experience awe. Awe has been described as an overwhelming feeling of wonder. Yes, wonder, rapture, ecstasy. I hope you've experienced it many, many times, in fact. This summer, as you mentioned, in June, we experienced the birth of our little grandson, Zachary. Zachary caused me to think about life very differently. I have taken time this time to be someone like Mary, to slow down, to hold him, to rock him, to study his little face, his features, his growth, in his spare 3 months with us. I hold him with joy. I love to rock him to sleep. And awe takes over. I look at his tiny hands, his tiny mouth, his little hair fuzzies, little blonde fuzzies on his head. I watched how his little arms in 3 months and little legs filled into baby folds. I see my son's familiar face echoing in Zachary's new one. Sure, I've been able to do that with my 4 older grandchildren. Definitely, each one has been a miracle and a blessing. But why was this one different? I've been freed from much of the OCD that plagues me, that detracted from my joy. Yes, I would hold them and rock them and so on, but all these things were troubling my mind. Things in the world, things in me, all sorts of stuff was bothering me. But now that I've been freed from that a bit, mostly, that's a sense of awe. Yes, these thoughts come in to intrude on my life, but I know I can say I don't have to think about them. And yes, I may have to settle for not being totally comfortable. I have a right and I have a choice to celebrate the things that inspire me to awe, like Zachary, over letting my life be dominated by fear. Yes, some of those things are like the election that's coming up, and that inspires a lot of the opposite: worry, despair. These terrible wars I mentioned, these insurmountable social issues, like the hurricanes in Florida, and now maybe another impending hurricane due to hit Florida soon. But I also have a choice. I can't think about these things 24 hours a day. None of us can. I don't have to think about them 24 hours a day. And that doesn't mean I don't care and that we don't care. I can follow in the example of Eloisha, someone who stops and can be in awe. As I said, for me, I think or is the opposite of worry. Or is the only word I can use to describe it. And I say we have to make a choice. I think we all have to decide, will I worry or will I appreciate life in awe and at any particular moment? And I don't think they're mutually exclusive. We can hear on one side all the things that are going on that upset us, that are upsetting our fellow human beings. And we can decide what we're going to do about those things. We can get together in groups and talk about that. We can find companionship. We can meditate and pray for those people. We can try to find a way to help them. We can collect money just like you just did, send water, clothing, and so on. But then we'll have to separate ourselves, I suggest, a bit from that. We do what we can, and then we have to take time to separate ourselves. And to do this, I appreciate so much what you did today by bringing the music that meant so much to you. Music is a way, well, music inspires awe, just like you played today and what your sons played today. That inspires awe in me. Some of it may be music for you. Some of it may be your painting. You may go to your easel when you're troubled. Some of you may decide to do craft, some kind of craft. Some of you may write. And some, like Dave, I know, like because he's like my son, will go out for a run. I know that means a lot to my son psychologically, and maybe to you too, Dave. But just to be outside. So once we've done something to help other people, we can let it go. And I think for ourselves that we must let it go. Now, I don't know how many of you thought of your homework that Dave had sent a little reminder out. I see little smirks. It was what Carolyn did today. I had asked if people could bring in something that inspires awe in you. I can share with you a couple of things I brought, but I tell you the truth, since I've started to think more and more about this topic, I keep seeing things. Here is a picture you probably can't see too well, but a picture of my little grandson, little Zachary. Well, that's one of his very early pictures, he's 3 months, but newborn. But I wanted to bring a couple of other things too. For a long time, acorns have intrigued me. Because when you look at this little beautiful acorn, think of what happens with this little acorn. Think what's going to happen if I plant this, or with all the other ones we see falling down in the park, hitting us in the head. What's going to come from them? And that is awesome to me. I love trees anyway, but this is so awesome to me. And then another thing that may be not as pretty, but mushrooms bring me a lot of awe. And this is a safe one. It's a safe one to eat. We got it at the store. But this mushroom is kind of, yucky looking a little bit. It's kind of brown and whatever. I washed it, but it's still a little yucky. But every time I eat mushrooms, and I love mushrooms, I cut it open. And if you've noticed yourself, you see all these fine little lines going down, all these fine little lines. If you never cut it open, you never would notice. And I don't know why they're there. I don't know exactly who put them there. We all may have our thoughts, but it's amazing. It's really amazing to me that inside this yucky looking thing, there's this beautiful little intricacy. And once I started noticing acorns again, I was with my grandchildren in Brooklyn and playing with those little twirly seeds. And then there's little sticker ball seeds, and there's so many different kinds of seeds out there. Isn't that awesome? Like, what's happening? This is so beautiful. And then you look at the little bugs. I love looking at the little bugs with my grandchildren, even the lanternflies. Before I knew what they were, I took a picture and sent one to one of my sons. And he said, well, I don't think that's really a good one. But I think it's gorgeous. It really is. It's a shame that we're supposed to kill him. So anyway, I hope you brought something. And if you didn't bring something, if you could recollect something or think of something that causes you awe. And I have a little activity, if you would indulge me. Some of you, like I said, may be into art, into music, into all that kind of thing. But for the sake of being together, I was thinking about writing. And for me, poetry sometimes helps me in very few words describe how I feel. Now, some of you may be familiar with haiku. Haiku is a 5-syllable line followed by a 7-syllable line and concluded with a 5-syllable line. Just 17 syllables, I think that is altogether. But just to describe, and if you think of that with the item you brought with you. Now, an example of a haiku that I found, online, I think it's a very familiar one. It read, an old silent pond. A frog jumps into the pond. Splash. Silence again. You could call that a poem, a prayer, a witness, an elegy, or simply just a way to communicate your awe. There's another style too that I've been thinking about, and I have to find my page that I got to with that. Okay. Where did I lose myself? Dave, help me. Okay. No, I'm kidding. I really was thinking there was a form of poetry that was just one word, described by a couple of words, and then ending in one word again. And I couldn't find it, but I thought, what the heck? That's what I wanted to do, and that's what I was going to do. So I started out with, I wrote acorn, followed by potential, growth, expanse. And then I followed up with protection. And that's what inspires me about this acorn. Now, I'm wondering if you all might be willing to try to write a little something about something you brought. It could be a haiku. It could be like the little thing I just did. Just something to communicate the awe of it. Don't feel you're going to have to share it with anybody, but I will ask you afterwards, if you do want to share it with someone next to you, you can. So I'll give you just a couple of minutes to try to do this activity.
Did everybody get a pencil and paper coming in? If not, you could raise your hand if you need a pencil and or paper. Wow, we all have one? Oh, we do need.
And you could feel free to talk to one another if you want to during this
So just
time.
one piece of paper?
I don't want to hold you too long today, so if you want to take a minute or two to finish. And when you finish, if any of you want to share what you wrote with someone near you, we could just take a few more minutes for that. All right, Dave? If you'd like to turn to someone.
Do we, I mean, I know I always love with you when we have like the Q&A, but this is maybe be a good opportunity. And if someone wants to share, maybe we'll do the sharing personally, because everybody hopefully would be comfortable with that. And then if anyone is inspired to share with the group, we'll also do that.
How about a coincidence again? That was going to be my third step.
Awesome.
To ask if anybody wanted to share your own with the group, great, and you could run around, or share your companions if it's okay with them. So if you feel like you want to talk to someone now, you're welcome. Okay, if you'd like to get back together. I've already heard of one person wanted to share. If anyone wants to share, Dave, you want to run around?
Sure. All right. Sarah is our first volunteer, it looks like.
If you wouldn't mind maybe standing when you read it.
This is this is a very quick one with my love of Arizona and my connection to my Navajo family. Sun sets over the rocks, the majestic beauty of the Grand Canyon. I'm so small and insignificant.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, I just got back and it's tarantula migrate, which is exciting to me. Yearning to see you, fuzzy black tarantula. You migrate, I smile.
Oh, beautiful. Really, wow. It's the mating season, right?
Sure.
Yes.
This is not a poem, it's a description of this little object.
What is that?
It's a stone.
Mhm.
And I wrote, a stone transformed by the artist's hand to a sunburst of gold and rose and joy.
But these are beautiful.
All right, as I said, on the heels of the tarantula. This is totally scientific, but it is a haiku.
You're reading hers?
I'm reading mine.
Yeah, okay.
And it's also about being in a hot place, right? Okay, so it's called transpiration. Heat beats down on the tree. Transformation needs power. Change to gas and steal the heat.
Very nice, very nice.
So since the science theme, I will share. I brought What is Real, The Unfinished Quest for the Meaning of Quantum Physics by Adam Becker. Very good book. And I didn't get the haiku memo somehow.
That's
So-
okay.
so
No, I didn't send the haiku.
So I just wrote, when you look a particle, oh, electron is the title. When you look a particle, when you don't, it's not. Just a set of potentials. Not one is here nor there.
Very, very good.
Gross.
Hi, I have just a few words. There's in nature items that are called fractals, and fractals are like broccoli, for example, is a good fractal. You have a small piece of broccoli, but it's exactly the same structure as the full head of broccoli. So you have one small piece identical to the larger item. So I wrote a few words regarding fractals
What?
because they are awesome to me.
And you noticed that, wow.
So think about those fractals and try to notice them. Here's homework. Try to notice them in your life and around you. But just a few words. Fractal, one equals all.
Hello, everybody. It's a limerick, and I promise it's on the level. Tabletop games are often on sale, but finding free time causes me to wail. Yet when friends can co-sign and our schedules align, we can collab an incredible tale.
Very nice.
You. Marge and then Mary.
I have a picture of the sky that I took out from my window.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. What was that, a picture?
Oh, picture of the sky taken from a window in my house, the bathroom window, in fact. I wrote a haiku. Blue sky above all, beautiful, so blue. Why so sad, my blues?
You.
Very nice.
Going back to the science theme. I've always been in awe of how in nature, everything follows these patterns of the golden spiral, the golden rectangle, and those Fibonacci numbers. And I brought those flowers today. Every flower inside, if you look at the middle part, I don't remember the name of that, but they follow these spiral patterns, seashells, everything in nature follows that. So that's what I was writing about. The golden spirals of nature, perfect patterns emerging with mathematical and aesthetic precision. Daily awesome miracles to marvel.
I just do. My eyes are not very good, and I neglected in joys and sorrows, and it fits with the theme of all. But I haven't seen my friend Max in like 8 years, and he's here with us. So it's so great to see you, Max. But back to the haikus.
But that's awesome too.
Yes.
See your friend.
Bonnie, it's about morning glories. A blue silent trumpet sings out the beauty of life, glorious morning.
Very nice.
Oh, I have one. We have a feral cat named Esmeralda. She brings me joy. Waiting for me and me waiting for you to show, wild cat, you are teaching awe.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah, so what inspired me about, being a senior in college, Staten Island, graduating May of next year and having my own apartment since December of last year and getting all the supports and services put together in different categories starting, hoping that'll happen, because I've just been in contact with different groups.
Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Oh, and Kevin?
Music swells from the heart, rhythm, tonality, space, noise engulfs me whole.
That was really nice. There's a little story behind mine. I have one biological child, and I waited for years and years and years to have him. So when I was expecting him, I read everything there was possible to read on babies and how they worked and everything. And so I was telling my dad, who was not a big reader, about this happens and that happens, and it's behind the scenes. You never see it, and this happens. And so here's what he said, or part of it. First line's mine: babies are magic. That's my idea. And my dad said, someone must have thought a while on how to make them.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just finish. Okay. I'm very inspired by all of you today, just as I was inspired by what Aloysia had written in the Brothers Karamazov. The thing I hope you get from today from me is that something has happened to me since the last time I was here. The more I thought about awe, the more and more I kept noticing things that inspire me. Leaves, intricacies, bugs, even things that scare me, the grains in the wood pews that you're sitting in. I could go on and on. Even today, I was looking at a clove of garlic, a head of garlic, on the sink, and just think of all those little pieces. Well, this is life-changing for me, and I hope it is for you. So I encourage you to go out and continue and share your noticings like you did today. Encourage others to share theirs with you. I focused on nature, but imagine, for me, imagine if we went beyond like you did. Allow yourself to experience awe. Even as you may worry, still allow yourself to put that aside for a while and experience and enjoy awe. It doesn't mean we don't care about the negative, but it means we do care also about the positive. It means we care about our well-being as well as the well-being of those around us. We can be refreshed, energized, just the way I feel right now. And we can do something. We can share our awe and change the world in that way. And I thank you.
Turning your break and move number 313. Well, what a piece of work are we?
I now invite you to join me in extinguishing our chalice. You can find the affirmation in our order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment, For these we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Our closing words are from a Sufi parable, which Regina selected. Once upon a time, a Sufi made the annual pilgrimage to Mecca. It was a long walk for him and the sun was high. He had come miles without stopping. Finally, in sight of the mosque at Mecca, sure of his goal now, the old man lay down in the road to rest. Suddenly, one of the other pilgrims shook him awake, rough and harsh in the doing of it. "Wake up," he commanded. "You blaspheme. You lie in such a way that your feet are pointed towards God in the holy mosque. What kind of Sufi are you?" The old Sufi opened one eye, smiled a bit, and said, "I thank you, holy sir. Now, if you would be kind enough to turn my feet in some direction where they are not pointed towards God." Thank you. And so ends our service. Please join us in the parish hall for hospitality. For the new people, that's coffee, food, fellowship.